The Chicago Bears basically destroyed the Seattle Seahawks for the majority of the game, besides when the fourth stringers choked it away at the end by a score of 27-11 in Seattle to win their second preseason game of the year. What should we take away from this game? Watch this video to find out. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears post-game reaction video, which I'll be giving you guys after every single Bears game this year, win or lose. So if you guys want to see my reactions to every single game, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. But today I'll be talking about the demolition that the Chicago Bears did of the Seattle Seahawks in all three phases of the game, okay? And make no mistake about it, guys, this game was not even close for the vast majority of the game. Obviously, the fourth stringers at the end did not play that well, okay? I'm sure 95% of them will not be on this roster week one, so I'm not stressing about this choke job that much because we still won this game by 16 points. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Ryan Poles looked super pissed at the fourth stringers at the end of this game. Okay, he actually came down from the upper booth or whatever they had up there. Him and Ian Cunningham came down from there onto the football field, and they look pretty angry, and maybe they're probably going to make some moves in the coming days and weeks. They obviously have to, right? Because they have to trim this roster down to 53 men eventually. But a lot of the guys at the end are probably not going to make the roster, okay? Bo Pete Keys, I'm thinking he's not going to make the roster, okay? I don't know what tells me that, but I'm 99% sure he's not going to make the roster. But putting the ending of that game aside, which I don't care about that much, let's talk about the vast majority of the game in which the Bears clearly look like the better football team in each aspect of the game. Okay, special teams, offense, and defense. And it's funny because Dan Orlovsky and Louis Riddick were trashing the Bears for the entire broadcast. And before the game, guys, they're talking about how the Seattle Seahawks probably have a better, roster than the Bears do, but the Bears have the quarterback and the Seahawks don't. Well, in this game, it looked like the Bears had everything, okay? And the Seattle Seahawks had absolutely nothing. The Bears, everybody on our team was fighting a lot harder than those players on the Seattle Seahawks. So you could see it in their play, okay? We were a lot more physical on defense. We were swarming to the ball. Our guys on offense were going the extra mile, trying to break tackles, trying to get something going. And although our first team offense didn't look amazing, we still moved the ball down the field, scored 3 points. Justin Fields had some nice passes to Cole Kmet, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But offense looked pretty decent. First team defense didn't allow a single point the entire game. Second team offense could move the ball down the field pretty well. Second team defense also shut out the Seahawks offense for a good portion of that game. The third stringers also looked pretty good. The fourth stringers, though, not that much at the end. Okay, they look pretty bad at the end of this game. But guys, that is pretty impressive, okay? As head coach of this team, Matt Eberflus has definitely instilled his philosophy on this roster because you can see it in their play. And yes, I know it's only preseason right now. None of this actually matters, but some of this can carry over into the regular season, okay? Last year, the second preseason game of the year, the Bears got blown out by a score of 44-7 or something like that. There was boo birds at Soldier Field. It was just such a bad atmosphere. The vibes were completely bad, and that was not the case at all in this game, okay? It was a lot of smiling on the sidelines, a lot of guys going the extra mile, trying to make this roster and trying to make plays for the Chicago Bears. And it was also a very disciplined effort as well, guys, because Chicago Bears only had 3 penalties in the entire game, okay? Only 2 penalties for the vast majority of the game until Bo Pete Keys committed pass interference at the very end. So that is a very disciplined effort. The other team on the other side, Seattle Seahawks, had 13 penalties in this game. They're committing penalties, dumb mistakes left and right, okay? Their first round pick, Charles Cross, had 3 or 4 penalties. It was a rough night for him. The entire team, Seahawks team, looked completely undisciplined, like they were not ready to play football. And that's usually how the Chicago Bears looked the last 4 years, and I'm so happy to be on the other side of a game like this. And I know it's only preseason again, so I'm not trying to crown the Bears Super Bowl champions right now, but a lot of stuff to like from Coach Eberflus, and it seems like the philosophy of the team has already changed, pretty quickly already. So good coaching effort, guys, from Coach Eberflus. Besides for that challenge that he didn't throw, okay, there was a play, guys, where Trevor Siemian was about to go down for the sack, but he somehow unloads a Mahomes level pass while falling down sideways to get it, into the hands of the receiver, which the receiver caught that ball, guys. They showed the replay on the big screen, but for some reason, Eberflus did not challenge that, which I was pretty disappointed in, okay, because that obviously didn't matter at that point, but would have been nice to have a play like that. And you should still be treating your challenges like it's a regular season game, okay? So Didn't like that at all, but I liked every single thing else from Coach Eberflus and also from Coach Hightower as well, guys. Okay, Richard Hightower, the new guy that we hired to be our special teams coordinator, his coaching is definitely making an impact because we had big plays made on special teams. Okay, we had that touchdown, the Elijah Hicks, the safety Elijah Hicks, the rookie that was so excited to be drafted by the Chicago Bears. He got in for the touchdown on a muffed punt recovery, so that was pretty nice. Velus Jones, the rookie, also had a very nice return in the first half. It was about I think it was like almost a 60-yard return, which showed his speed, his shiftiness on that, on that play. So that was a good play by him. And obviously the punter, Trenton Gill, looked pretty good for the game. Obviously at the end, we had that botched onside recovery, but that player will probably not make the roster. So not stressing too much about that, guys. The special teams looked really good for the vast majority of the game. Okay, return units, kicking units, like everything looks so good. And love to see a, a well-coached unit like that go out there and perform pretty well for most of the game. So good game by the special teams. Talking about the offense now, I'll talk about the first team offense and how Justin Fields and the offensive line looked. And I thought it was a pretty decent performance by the Bears first team offense. They only had one drive the entire game. Okay, so a very small sample size, but even on that first drive, they went down the field and scored some points. They didn't score a touchdown, obviously, which you would want to see a touchdown there, but scoring some points on your opening drive is never a bad thing, okay? And it was going up against the Seattle Seahawks first team defense. And I know the Seattle Seahawks do not have a great first team defense, but they had guys they drafted this year, young guys that had a lot of promise, at least according to the broadcast booth before the game. But the Bears offense still moved the football down the field and got some points. Okay, Justin Fields, I thought, looked pretty decent on that drive, besides for one play where he had some more time in the pocket, but he left a little bit early, okay? So that's still going to be a point of emphasis for Justin Fields, making sure he doesn't leave the pocket a little bit too early. I can't blame him that much for that because the offensive line was pretty bad last year, and Matt Nagy had him being a sitting duck last year, so that kind of ruined his development in that way. But I'm sure, eventually he will be more patient with the pockets that he has. And obviously the offensive line did allow some pressure on that first drive, but I don't think they were nearly as bad as a lot of people on Twitter were saying. First of all, one of those plays was a screen pass. Obviously on screen passes, you're going to have some pressure on your face because you have to get the ball out fast to the receiver in space, which is exactly what Justin Fields did. He didn't panic. He lofted the ball over to whoever the receiver was, or it might have been the running back, and he went forward for a good gain. On one of the other plays, the running back blew a blocking assignment, which is obviously not going to be on the offensive line. It's bad blocking by the running back, but that's not an offensive line mistake. And also on another play, guys, Justin Fields, he still had a decent amount of time on a play action pass. Okay, you're not going to have 4 or 5 seconds on every single play. Okay, there will be some pressure at some points in the game. And yes, there was pressure on that first drive for Justin Fields, but he got through that pressure and, still moved the football down the field and succeeded on that drive. That's the most important part, guys. The Bears still moved the football down the field. Justin Fields had, let me bring up his stats right now, but he had, 5 for 7, 39 yards, average of 5.6 yards per completion, passer rating 84.8. Looked pretty accurate on that drive. Had a couple nice balls to Cole Kmet, which Cole Kmet, guys, is a big boost for this offense. We didn't have him last time, and you could tell, guys, because in this game, he was huge for Justin Fields. On the very first play of the game, he took a short pass and stumbled and rumbled his way down the field for extra yardage and ended up, taking that for like a 12-yard gain, I think. Later on that drive, he had a play action pass where Justin Fields was rolling out to his left, delivered a nice ball to Cole Kmet down the left sideline, and another big play, guys, for the Bears offense, which helped them score on that drive. We also got helped by a penalty by the Seattle Seahawks on that 4th and 2 play, so got a little bit lucky there, but that also could have been caused by Justin Fields and his cadence at the line of scrimmage. So not a perfect performance, but good enough, guys. Okay, offensive line still has to get better. We still need Lucas Patrick back. We still would like to have Riley Reiff, the veteran, back. And I have to talk about Tevin Jenkins, though, in this game, because I actually thought that Tevin Jenkins, a right guard, looked pretty solid his entire stint there. He had maybe like 1 or 2 reps that he did get pushed backwards pretty fast and probably lost those reps, but for the rest of the reps, guys, he looked like a starting level right guard and created some push up front, at least, on some of those plays. And obviously he's going to get better with time. Okay, he just started playing this position like 1 week ago. Okay, so give him some time to learn, and I think he has all the tools to maybe be a starting right guard in this league. I'm not sure if he's going to start week 1, but there's definitely the chance for him to do that if he can put together another strong performance next week, against whoever we're playing. Okay, I don't even know right now, but that is the first team offense. Okay, got some points, got 3 points. The second team offense looked pretty good as well, guys. Okay, I have to say Trevor Siemian is a pretty capable backup quarterback. He's obviously not a guy you want as a starter, but he looked accurate on his passes. He was quick on his reads. He had that Mahomes level pass too, which should have been, yeah, we should have challenged that, and that would have been a completed pass to add to his highlight reel. But solid game, guys, by Trevor Siemian. He went to 8 for 15 for 48 passing yards, a passer rating of 82.1, and looked like a pretty capable backup quarterback for a good portion of that game, which is all you can really ask for. Now, talking about the receivers, guys that really impressed me. Isaiah Coulter for good portion of that game besides the end. Okay, had some slip ups at the end, but he made a couple of really nice catches, had 3 receptions for 39 yards. Nasimba Webster was used all over the field, guys. He had a couple nice receptions where he got the ball in space and used his speed, his athleticism to his advantage, and made guys miss as well. He had a nice broken tackle near the end zone, which that could have been a touchdown, but he got stonewalled by some other defender there. But you know, pretty good game by Nasimba Webster. He also had that big return too. And otherwise, you know, Darnell Mooney obviously didn't play that much. The first team receivers did not play that much. You know, Velus Jones did have a handful of snaps with, you know, with the offense, with the backups too, but didn't really do anything too special in the receiving game. He shined a lot more in the return game in this game. But yeah, it's pretty much the offense, guys. Okay, they scored 20 points. 7 points were added from an Elijah Hicks fumble recovery touchdown, and you know, looked pretty decent for a good portion of the game. I will say that Luke Getsy is not, he's not unveiling his full playbook right now, so we're not having much, you know, pre-snap motion or many, you know, schematic adjustments in game, because this is all very basic, very vanilla, but we are still able to move the football down the field, which I obviously love to see. Now, talking about the defense, guys, they had the stronger performance of the game. Okay, didn't allow a single point until like almost the end of the third quarter, allowed 8 in the fourth quarter with the 4th-string defense, but pitched a shutout for the good majority of this game against the Seattle Seahawks first team offense. Again, I don't think the Seattle Seahawks have a great team, okay? I think they will be one of the worst teams in football, but the Bears made them look extremely bad on offense, okay? Our defense was completely shutting everything down for a good portion of the game, okay? There was pressure on Geno Smith. When Geno Smith did have time, he just misfired, and a lot of PBUs, a lot of incompletions, so bad game, guys, by Geno Smith. Rookie Kyler Gordon, the cornerback. So I was pretty interested to see how he did in this game. And he had a pretty bad missed tackle where he completely whiffed and should have wrapped up around that guy. But the guy went high and he went low and did not end up tackling him. And he, whatever that player was, he went for like an extra 20 or 30 yards. So that was not a good play by him. But otherwise, Kyler Gordon looked pretty fine for the snaps that he had. Okay, it's hard to tell right now without going back and seeing the tape, obviously, but I didn't see too many balls completed in his direction. Okay, there might have been a few, but again, it's hard to tell with such limited, you know, snaps that he got, but looked pretty solid out there, looked pretty fast. He could use, you know, work on the tackling technique, which I'm sure that Coach Flus will give him in practice, but you know, pretty solid day, I would say, from Kyler Gordon, and obviously a really good day by the entire Bears defense. Okay, when you allow 0 points for the majority of the game against an NFL offense, that is a good day at work. Guys like Trevon Coley had a sack. Trevon Coley had 2 sacks in the last game, so good preseason by him. Al-Quadin Muhammad showed off his speed again, had a bunch of pressures on the quarterback. Sam Kamara had a sack too. And, you know, overall, I can't really speak anything bad about the defense because every single one of them played pretty good. Okay, Geno Smith was not doing much of anything out there for the Seattle Seahawks offense. Everybody besides our 4th stringers. Okay, Bo Pete Keys had a pretty bad game, and a couple other guys at the end of this roster had pretty bad games as well, but don't really care too much about that. But that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to say in this video. Okay, a pretty solid win by the Chicago Bears. I'm not going crazy over it because it is only preseason, but you can definitely tell, guys, a culture is being built here, and guys are buying into that culture. Hopefully it translates into the regular season as well, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments down below, but as always, bear down.